In a giant breaking news, we've now got confirmation that Tesla's full self-driving version 12 is being actively deployed to 15,000 Tesla employee vehicles. This is important news, as V12 is seen by many as a needed step change in end-to-end neural network autonomy capability that has the ability to teach itself all of the edge cases. Elon Musk himself responded to news saying that while it's already in a lot of cars, they're doing extra testing given its completely new architecture. Related to this, Gene Munster's analyst from Deepwater Management made a prediction for 2024. He thinks that Tesla will need to stay quiet on robotaxi. Otherwise, it will cause people to want to slow down and not buy the Drive Yourself Model 3. Well, let's discuss it more, shall we? We've got Larry Goldberg with us. He's a multi-entrepreneur, and we're going to ask him these questions. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you. Thank you, Herbert. Great to be here.
Thank you so much, Larry. So really appreciate you when you give us your feedback and thoughts. So this news that full self-driving version 12 is now released to not just a handful of employees, but 15,000 personally owned Tesla employees' vehicles, and it's now being rolled out. This is wave one, and it's happening. This is Tesla Scope. They have really close eye. They got the early news. They followed the software, and they could see when different software updates are being happened to the cars.
And they're very trustworthy.
I do agree. Yeah, Tesla Scope is very trustworthy. They're very careful about not saying anything when it's too early. They finally were able to say this. This is the actual screenshot that employees are getting. Version now FSD, they still call it beta version 12.1, but it's now being updated to Tesla's cars, Tesla employee cars. And then Tesla Synopsis asked the question, when can we have FSD version 12? Highly anticipated. Elon replied, it's already in a lot of cars, but given that it's completely new architecture, we're doing extra testing. It works very well in California, but needs more training for heavy precipitation areas. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's, I'm in a heavy precipitation area, so I fully understand that. It's very exciting. I mean, it's what we've been waiting for. The fact that it's in so many cars, and I understand it's 30,000 cars, indicates to me that they're comfortable with where it is in terms of evolution. Very important moment. I mean, I had real concerns after I saw the drive, which looked so good in terms of, just the breadth of examples and edge cases and circumstances that the software would have to find itself in, that they would have to prove to themselves that they're comfortable with before they released it. The fact that they've released it to this many people indicates something really, really good. Now, he's mentioned precipitation as one issue. Elon has mentioned precipitation as one issue where they perhaps need more training. There probably are some other areas as well. The beauty about version 12 is that the training can actually be done, in the live environment and continue to improve. So I expect we will see a continuing rollout, perhaps geographical rollout in the early phases. But the beauty about version 12, which is not directly true of earlier versions, is that it will be able to dynamically learn and be updated on the fly. In the past, they've had to release it in multiple different cycles. I predict that the release cycle will become continuous. In other words, we won't actually have V.1, 0.2, 0.3. It will be continually updated in the wild, in live use. That's what I think we're going to evolve to during the course of this coming year. And I expect that by the following year, we will start seeing the word beta being released, being taken off the version. And I think we're going to start seeing real robotaxi capability. I predicted 2 to 3 years a year ago. I think we're down to 1 to 2 years at this point.
I love it, Larry. You're very, very clear about what you're saying. I appreciate what you said because I was going to say the same thing. Version 12 is very different. It's a end-to-end neural network, which means that this system is teaching itself. And so now that they release it to this many drivers out there, the system is learning on its own neural net, and it's coding itself. It's not
not in the
back to
cars though, Herbert. Just to make it clear, it's not going to be learning in the cars. The cars are still going to be doing inferencing. Where they're going to be doing learning is, in the training center, in the training centers, of which we're seeing dramatic increase in power. And by August of next year, it's going to, reach the levels where it can be doing this on the fly. That's why I'm so confident.
Actually, you make a very good point there, right? This also might point that they have enough compute, because if you're going to distribute this to 15,000 and more, there's all that video you can get, that training. And so then you need compute to be able to absorb that and learn from it. So maybe they have that head in that direction too, that they're willing to send us out. So can't wait till we get our hands on this and we can see whether or not it truly is a step change. But many of us are thinking this is it. This is the path towards true robotaxi. And we'll see if it just needs, like Elon said, it needs to be exposed to high precipitation areas to be able to understand. But did you remember that there was one video that Ashok Swami showed where FSD version 12, this end-to-end neural net taught itself to recognize fog. And so it knew that this was fog, and it knew that I can drive through fog. And it was
that's one instance of fog. And fog presents in multiple different ways. So that's the whole point. But, your point about the training, the thing to understand is this is a true flywheel. When you have a situation, which we had, where you have people having to label manually, and there's still going to be labeling, but it's of a different quality and magnitude and order of magnitude. But in the old days, there was no such flywheel. You were really limited by the number of people you have labeling and by the limit of what you can actually label, per period of time. In this new world, it's a true flywheel because you really have a huge amount of automation between the actual observation or the capturing of what's happening in the car and the training in the background. And it can be almost perpetual. And it's a true flywheel. It just gets better and better and better. So whereas in the old world, in the version 11 and on, and before, we had to rely upon this, periodic updating and so on. In the new world, this updating could be very, very dynamic. That's what I mean about, no longer having these subversions and so on and so forth. So we're going to see a very big change, a step change in what happens.
I love that about you, Larry. You make these kind of calls, and then in another show, we're going to review all of the predictions you've made that have come true. Okay, so this is a big deal. Version 12 is now being released to all these employees, and then right after that, they're going to release it to regular people like us, and we're going to be able to see how well it does. We're excited about that. So in a related note, Deep Water Management, this is Gene Munster, they released their predictions for 2024, and one of their predictions about Tesla for 2024, they said that they think in Tesla's best interest to stay quiet on robotaxi. Now, they say the new vehicle selling feature is its price, and Tesla showcasing the upcoming vehicle will likely have a cooling effect on current low-price Model 3 sales. So they're talking about the compact car that is going to be lower price, a risk not worth taking a year where EV sales will continue to be muted. So they're saying that you can't talk about robotaxi, the compact car, when you need your Model 3 sales to continue to grow if EV sales will continue to be muted. On top of that, the car will likely be produced in Giga, Mexico, which we believe won't be operational until 2027. Thoughts on this?
That's a head scratcher. I mean, I would scratch my head, but I have no hair. Listen, this is really a very weird. Firstly, let me start at the end. Tesla has announced, and Elon has spoken to this. They've mentioned this several times now. It's very clear they are going to be manufactured, and it was in the book, Walter Isaacson's book. They're going to be manufacturing the next gen vehicle. I don't want to call it Model 3. I want to call it the next gen vehicle. They're going to be manufacturing it in Giga, Texas, period. That it will be ultimately manufactured in Mexico as well just speaks to the volume they're going to need of that car. They're going to need a very large volume, and they're going to need it from both Mexico and Giga Texas. But that's the first, that although it's the last paragraph, it's the first most egregious mistake. Secondly, the question of whether they're Osborning the Model 3. It's quite possible that people who want to buy a car under the $20,000 mark or $25,000 mark, whatever, watermark you want to set, they are going to wait for that car, but they were going to wait for that car anyway because they can't afford a Model 3. People who can afford a Model 3 will want a full-size car, and the Model 3 is a full-size car. So the market for full-size cars, is large. Tesla has proved just how large it is. But the market for a smaller car is gigantic, many times larger. I don't think there's going to be an Osborne effect, on the Model 3. I mean, the Model 3, the renewed Model 3 is going to suffer in any case from one problem, and that is the question of the battery source. Battery source is going to be very important because the $7,500 credit is not going to be available on the battery sourced from China. And so Tesla's either going to take a collapsed margin on that or a reduced margin on that, or the sales are going to be constrained. So that's an issue with Model 3 anyway. But the next gen car is coming. We're going to see an announcement of it by the fourth quarter of next year. We're going to see deliveries of it by 2025. These are my hopeful predictions, and I don't think they're going to be a great impact on the Model 3 sales. That's my view.
Mine as well. I have no idea why people think that the compact car is going to have any kind of crossover segmentation with the Model 3. Remember that the compact car they talked about is utilitarian. In order for it to be under $25,000, whatever price point it ends up becoming, they need to totally remove all the features. It's not going to be the Model 3 Highland that is, pretty amazing in many different ways with all these, wonderful things. And then the part that confused me that he was talking about robotaxi. What? Why would Tesla not talk about robotaxi? Because they're afraid that it's going to cannibalize Model 3 sales. Robotaxi is a completely different segmentation from the compact car, which is a totally different segmentation for the Model 3. So I don't know how
he's
robotaxi
confusing
could
the
affect.
platform with a car.
Yeah,
the platform is a next gen platform is going to accommodate the small car, and it's going to accommodate the robotaxi, which are going to have a common platform and common design, in many cases a common design. But apart from that, there are different vehicles.
yeah.
Now, can the next gen car be used as a robotaxi? Yes, just as the Model 3 and the Model Y, Model S, and the Model X can be used as robotaxis. But the robotaxi designed for use for dedicated use as a robotaxi is going to be an evolution on the next gen platform. So he's conflating the next gen model sedan or model car with the next gen car as a robotaxi. So
Yeah.
it's just very confusing.
Okay. All right. So let's continue with some of his other predictions for Tesla in 2024. So this is the one we just covered now. He talked about everything we just addressed now. So the other thing he predicts is that Tesla will maintain US EV market share. So he says that while most investors actually expect Tesla to lose share in 2024, given that they almost have 60% US market share today, we believe that the company will maintain the share as traditional car makers are slowing their investments in EVs. Thoughts on that?
I think Tesla is going to increase its market share in the United States in 2024. Wow. We've got so many of the traditional auto manufacturers pulling back. We will not see an invasion by China or Europe into the EV space. I cannot see how Tesla will not significantly increase its market share. I mean, just just on Cybertruck alone. It's going to be 100,000 Cybertrucks running around next year. That's going to add very significantly to the market share. But in any event, we're going to see a revival of the Model 3 sales, even against the odds that they face. And we're going to see, Model Y continue to just kill it, S and X may actually stabilize, and they may dawdle at about their current levels, unless Tesla sees their way clear to even more significant price reductions, which I doubt. So because they're going to be constrained at the Fremont factory trying to get the new model Highland out, as well as the expanded Y production.
Love it, Larry. That Tesla's going to grow EV market share. Love it. Thank you for doing that. So this is the final point that they have. Their prediction for 2024, EV growth will slow in 2024. It will rebound in 2025. We expect EV deliveries in the U.S. to grow by about 25% in 2024, down from 40% growth in 2023. We expect growth to reaccelerate 25 as consumers' optimism around the category improves, along with affordability. What's your thought about that prediction?
Wrong again. 3 out of 3. We have begun the secular decline of ICE car sales. I know we're way behind China, way behind Norway, even behind Europe. The Western countries have, been the laggards in the move to EVs, but there's going to be a significant continued decline, secular decline over time. And it started in this year. It's going to continue next year. It's starting now, of course, in the truck space because of the Cybertruck and Rivian. So I think that we're in secular decline of the ICE component of auto sales, and we're in a secular increase in the market share of EVs. And Tesla's going to have its fair share of that.
I actually like Gene Munster of Deepwater. He's usually pretty accurate, I thought. But it's good to see you have a different opinion. I kind of lean towards what you're thinking as well. So I love that you're very opinionated about this, and you pretty well have a good handle of what's going to happen next year. Thank you so much, Larry. Follow him on X, Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.